All the colors of the rainbow, all the voices of the wind, every dream that reaches out to find where love begins. Every word of every story, every star in every sky, every corner of creation lives to testify. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences, and words are not enough. With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. From the mountains to the valleys, from the rivers to the sea, every hand that reaches out, every hand that reaches out to offer peace, every simple act of mercy, every step to kingdom come, all the hope in every heart will speak what love has done. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. I'll be a witness in the silences where words are not enough. With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify. I will testify to love. Be a witness in the silences, and words are not enough. With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify to love. I will testify to love. Be a witness in the silences, words are not enough. With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify. I will testify to love. Hello, Mile High Church. I wanted to start with that song tonight because that is what I am doing right now. I'm testifying to love during this crazy time in our world. I am knowing that there is something wonderful and great beyond what is currently happening right now that will reveal itself, and it's all going to be okay. Because this is a quote from one of my favorite quotes from a movie that I saw. It says, if it's not okay, it's not the end. So eventually, we're all going to be good. I just know that we are. Let's say hi to the band, shall we? That's Josh Byers on drums, Susan Mikulich Gilbertson on bass. That's like singing a whole song. Susan Mikulich Gilbertson. Kent Rautenstrauss on keyboards and piano a little later, and Rob Lowe on piano and keyboards a little bit later. I'm happy to be here with you all tonight, just singing about love. I'm looking forward to Reverend Kay Johnson's message tonight, a love story. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. And in the meantime, let's do another song about love. As I give, I receive everything I really need. Open up, ready to receive. Start the flow. to receive. Start the flow. You've got to give your love, give your heart. When you do, it starts. 'Cause when you give your joy, share your soul, you'll feel it grow. Love starts the flow. Open up, light shines in. We are one now, love begins. Feel the power of all who share. Start the flow. You've got to give your love, give your heart. When you do, it starts. 'Cause when you give your joy, share your soul, you'll feel it grow. Love starts the flow. Now can you hear it? Spirit inside. Let's come together, start changing our lives. You've got to give your love, give your heart. When you do, it starts. 'Cause when you give your joy, share your soul, you'll feel it grow. You've got to give your love, give your heart. When you do, it starts. 'Cause when you give your joy, share your soul, you'll feel it grow. Love starts the flow. Love starts the flow. Start the flow.
Welcome, welcome to Wednesday Night Live. We're so thrilled that you're here with us. Thank you for tuning in. That is certainly an example of Jennifer Burnett is big love that comes in a small package. And so that's really exciting and beautiful to hear. And I know my heart's already wide open from her wonderful music. And we're so glad you're here. And I'm glad to be here with my wonderful colleagues this evening. Reverend Kay Johnson is here with us, and she leads our healing ministry and is a huge part of the creation of and the continuation of our Healing Light service. And Reverend Chris Plym is here tonight also. She leads our Circles of Love and supports all of our efforts in guests and new members. And it's a delight to be here with both of you this evening and share the stage and share this service and just have time together. And I don't know that we've seen each other in person forever, so this is really wonderful too. So thank you for being here. And I am looking forward to your message and to your prayer tonight. And before we get there, we've been really having a wonderful time anchoring in with these conversations with each other, unrehearsed, just talking about the state of the world right now. I was listening to Dr. Michael Beckwith recently, and he was talking about this being like a double pandemic now, We've got the pandemic of COVID-19, and we've got the pandemic of this racial uproar that's happening. And how do we stand in a centered place, and especially tonight with the theme that you've brought to us and the music has been about, how do we stand in love for ourselves and for each other and for our world during a time such as this? What are ways of being or actions that we can take that really help us to be and express that love? So why don't we start with you, Reverend Chris, and would you be willing to answer that question for us and give us some wisdom?
Sure. My first thought on that question is we have a unique opportunity right now to be spiritual activists, to be something that we are called forth to be that perhaps we've not done in that way before. We have an opportunity to pray. We have an opportunity to listen to all sides. And that includes both pandemics, because even with the coronavirus, we hear this and that, and we should do this and we shouldn't do that. And then with the pandemic of the whole racial question opening up right now, we've got to be able to listen to, why do we have civil unrest? We call it a protest, but is that really a protest? What's really going on in the hearts of people? And so for me to be that spiritual activist, being in prayer and being in very constructive and careful listening to all perspectives is what I can do now.
That's very beautiful, and I agree, a very wise and loving choice to accept and be open to people that you hear express themselves and how they live their lives. I feel much the same. And what about you, Reverend Kay? What wisdom do you have for us around this?
Well, what came to me about this was the need to actually look at myself and really ask hard questions. You know, what am I doing? Am I contributing to any of this? In what way? What do I really feel? What do I really think about things? That made me start to think about my parents. And they were second generation immigrants and farmers in Iowa. I suspect for many years they'd never even seen a black person. But I remember some prejudice coming out of my dad's mouth at some point, and now that I look back on that, I knew at the time this isn't who he is. But I remember thinking, where did he learn that? You know, where do we learn? You know the wonderful song from South Pacific.
Got to be taught.
We have to be carefully, you have to be carefully taught. There was so much controversy about whether that song was going to be in the show or not, and when they made the movie and blah, blah, blah. It's just, that song is really significant. So anyway, where are we careful? Where are we carefully taught? Maybe listen and look to ourselves first as a place to start. Where am I?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautifully said, and so true. And so for me, I agree with everything that you both have said and have thought a lot about something that I heard a year ago here on this stage from a speaker we had. Matt Kahn was here, and he talked about when the world erupts as it has, how conflicted we can feel about exactly what you're saying. What can I do? How can I help make it better? How can I be sure that I'm being a loving contribution and building up the world I want to see occur and not being a part of the problem and all that? And he said to all of us who were there, this room was full of people, he said, you have to accept that there are going to be people who will make a huge difference by going out and marching and protesting, as you said, Reverend Chris, or taking a stand by walking in the streets and going to capitals and writing letters and talking to world leaders. And there will be others who will choose to be at home and pray and contribute to the light on the planet. And that neither of those is more right or wrong than the other. and that each one of us has to find our place in that when eruption occurs in our society. And I've been having that resonate within me because I see a lot of people in social media, on the news, in conversations, thinking that we should all be out in the streets. And then others will say we should all be home, or we should be doing nothing, or we should be praying, or prayer is not enough. That's not going to do anything. That doesn't matter. You know, and everybody's got their opinion. And what I've been really watching and checking in myself is that my most loving action can be to follow my own heart about what is mine to do to contribute. And if I feel called to be in the streets, boy, I'm going to be out in the streets. But if I feel called to be at home praying, I'm going to pray, and boy, am I going to pray deeply and powerfully and profoundly. And I felt like that statement and that invitation gave me freedom to love myself, whatever my choice is, and to love you and totally support you, like you were saying, support anybody who feels called. By gosh, then please go, or anybody who feels called to stay home, by gosh, please stay home. Whatever people feel called to do, to let it be okay. And that's part of how we can love each other right now too, is to say, if you want to make a difference, there are so many ways to make a difference. Find your way that is right for you. It feels like that is right for me. Is there anything more that either of you would like to say about this before we move on in our service tonight? Any other thoughts you've had?
Well, the only thing I also thought about was in order of after doing the self-examination, then what next? And I thought, you know, it would be very important, it feels very important to do something that Chris alluded to, which is to really consciously listen. And not and listen to those people who perhaps you don't agree with. That's the really hard thing. But what a challenge. What can we really listen? Because that is closer to the love that Jennifer's talking about. To listen, to be willing to listen is like an act of love.
It is, because anytime we don't listen, or we make a whole group of people wrong for their viewpoint, or we disenfranchise people because they don't agree with us, or they support someone that we don't agree with, that's what we call separation in the world of spirituality. And what we know is that we can't ever be happy or feel fulfillment when we practice separation. The only path to that is finding oneness. And we don't have to agree with everything that everyone else believes or thinks, but we can love and respect each other even when our beliefs are diverse, I think, right?
The only other thing I would add, Michelle, is that I think somewhere, somehow, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone, we've lost the art of civil conversation. And if we could go back to some principles of nonviolent communication, civility, all of those qualities, and we've had them and we can have them again, and we can take a stand for that.
That's very loving, isn't it? Right? Well, thank you very much, you wise women, you. And we're going to move forward with more beautiful music from Jennifer Burnett and our amazing band.
I knew all the answers, the way my life should go. And when I used to say God's prayers, I would tell God so. It seemed He wasn't listening. I thought He didn't care. But looking back, it's plain to see He was always there. 'Cause I prayed for strength, and I got pain that made me strong. I prayed for courage and got fear to overcome. When I prayed for faith, my empty heart brought me to my knees. I don't always get what I want, I get what I need. Nothing seems to go my way. Nothing seems to work. But these days I'm getting better at going with the flow, accepting that sometimes the answer to a prayer is no. 'Cause I prayed for strength and I got pain that made me strong. I prayed for courage and got fear to overcome. When I prayed for faith, my empty heart brought me to my knees. I don't always get what I want, I get what I need. Every time I've had a door slammed in my face, in time a better one was open in its place. 'Cause I prayed for strength and I got pain that made me strong. I prayed for courage and got fear to overcome. When I prayed for faith, my empty heart brought me to my knees. I don't always get what I want, I get what I need. Oh, I don't always get what I want, I get what I need.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Jennifer, the band. It's such a privilege to share the stage with these professionals. It always warms my heart, for sure. So tonight, we're going to talk about a love story. Now, maybe it passed through your mind, boy meets girl, no, not that kind of love story. Tonight, we're going to talk about choosing love. So I want to tell you about a woman. Her name is Susan. She's a dear friend. She's a member of this church. And she also is the CEO of a small manufacturing company that is here in Lakewood, not very far from this church. And this January of 2020, Susan was very much involved in her spiritual practice, which she loved, which was her gratitude journal. And she was realizing that as she identified and wrote down the things she was grateful for in her journal, that it started her day off with a buoyant energy. As well as sometimes if she would do that at night, then it would lull her into some great sleep. So she was very fond of this particular practice. And so she decided that she wanted to share it. So she told her employees, she said, I have purchased a gratitude journal for each one of you. And she passed them out, and then she said, we are going to do something a little different in our our weekly meeting. So every time we come to meet, the whole team comes together, we're going to start off by going around the room, and everybody, I want you to tell one thing that you've been grateful for. Now, maybe you can imagine that some business meetings you've been in, maybe a bunch of CPAs or, a construction crew. And just imagine what it would be like if they would start their meeting by everybody going around and naming one thing they're grateful for. Of course, what happens is it changes the energy. It changes the energy of the people in the room. It changes the energy of the meeting as it unfolds. And the other thing it does that is really important is it creates connection. Because as you listen to people that you may only know in a business relationship talk about something they're grateful for, you learn something about them. And it creates this sense of connection. This connection that is something that we are missing right now. We're missing our physical connection. But we can still be connected energetically, of course. And that's one of the things that this practice can really do. So she had so much success with the gratitude journals, she thought, well, how about a little metaphysics? So the next thing she did was call her group together, her employees, and say, I am going to sponsor a year subscription to Gaia TV for each one of you. And what I'm asking you to do is I want you to go and I want you to watch this certain program, which is called Rewired. Now, some of you may be familiar with this program. It's one of Joe Dispenza's series of talks and so forth. And she said, and then I want you to come and tell me, you know, what do you think? All right, did you learn something from this? What do you think about it? How do you feel about it? Did anything in there that was interesting to you? So then February came, and the pandemic started to really heat up. And Susan's business is an essential business, so they did not have to close. Nobody needed to lose their job. So what happened is they did work for a little while, and then she decided, you know, this is not right. So she told everybody, I want you all to go home for 2 weeks. We're going to close. You'll still be paid, but I need you to go home, make sure that you're safe, make sure that your family is well, make sure you are well. We will make sure that the office and every place that you're coming back to is safe so that anybody who comes back, there's no chance of getting infected here. And so they did that for these 2 weeks. Now, I want to jump back and tell you why her business is essential, just because it's interesting. So they manufacture meters and instruments that actually have to do with the flow of natural gas. So that's why it was an essential business. So this is a factory with office people as well. So they came back. So now we move into March. And I think a lot of us, when we got to that stage of the pandemic, started to notice, I mean, it was impossible not to notice how many people were truly struggling. There was food problems, people were losing their jobs, and they were, just lost. And so Susan had a favorite project, and she decided she wanted to make a donation to that. So she talked to her employees about it, and she said, one of my favorite projects that's here in the metropolitan area is called Project Angel Heart. Now, Project Angel Heart is an organization that prepares and delivers medically tailored food to seriously ill people who are in their homes. And this, actually, I was familiar with this project in the 80s and I think that's when it started, during the AIDS epidemic. Because, again, this was a time when people did not want to go into a home because there was so much confusing information about how AIDS was spread, that sort of thing. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We're there again. So she told her employees, she said, I'm going to make a donation to this project because I believe in it. And they talked about it, what they did. And then she said, if you would like to contribute, I'll match what you'd like to put in. And so you know what this is. It's an act of love. You take care of yourself and your family, and then you look out and realize there's others. And when you step into that place of helping others, again, there's this energy of love, energy of joy, of compassion that comes through. So immediately following that, she saw how much joy her group had gotten out of participating with her. She said, well, maybe there's a project that you're really interested in. Bring it to me. Tell me about it. And if you want to make a donation to something that you're interested in that's going to help the community, well, I'll match that. And so people did. How can I give love today? The other thing she said to them was, if you would like to volunteer, maybe you'd like to take a day and volunteer. So I'll tell you what I'll do for everybody that wants to do this. I'll give you a day off a month, still paid, and you go and volunteer. And the only thing is, what I want you to be sure to do is I want you to come back and talk to me and tell me about it. Tell me what you experienced. Tell me what you learned about the project that you're so interested in. And so she grew that whole feeling of helping and who can we give love to today into another way, just for each individual to make a stand for themselves. What she said to them, which I thought was really so profound, she said, I want to see the new, improved version of you, the best version of you that you can be. I want to see personal growth. Business growth will come. And in fact, it did. She told me, you know what, we transformed the way we do business in the last 2 months. We used to be on airplanes and in traffic and in hotels, contacting customers, the people in the business that did that. And she said now they are being able to contract many more of their business people to whom they're selling because they're online. And it's made it so much more efficient. She said, the business is doing well. And I said to her, Susan, you did so many things for your employees. And she said, they're the ones who made it happen. And then she said something to me that really shocked me. She said, Kay, I'm addicted. And I said, what? What do you mean by that? And she said, well, maybe you remember a couple of years ago in the healing support group, there was a man who started talking about having been in the Vietnam War and having felt that his entire future was taken away from him because he was ripped out of college, ripped out of being able to go to college, and was in the war. And he went on to say, and she said he said it to the whole group, everybody who was in the room. He said, I think I've been addicted most of my adult life, addicted to depression. And Susan said, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. She said, I think I've been addicted to fear and to illness. And she said, I know where it started. I know where it started. When I was a kid, my mother was really, really sick. And I had little brothers, and I had to take care of them. And I lost my childhood. It never happened. And then years later, when my mother died, about a year after she died, I got sick. And you know, she said, I've taken so many classes at Mile High Church, and I've taken a lot of workshops, and I've read so many books, and I've even done some therapy. She said, but now I know, I can see it, and I can speak it. Fear was what was driving me. Fear is why I was so sick. Fear was what was driving my life. But I can see it, I can speak it right now. I can't say poor me anymore. I just can't. When something happens, I say to myself, what am I supposed to learn here? Well, get out of a fear-driven life. Kick that fear to the curb, is exactly what she said. So Susan writes an inspiring email to her staff on the day before they have their weekly staff meeting. Everybody meets together, and she calls it Thoughts for the Week. And she always starts it off with a quote. So I'd like to read it to you. This is a recent email that she sent to her staff. Hi, team. Through money and power, you cannot solve the many problems of the world. The problem in the human heart must be solved first. That was spoken by the Dalai Lama. It feels like that's a message for us right now. The problem in the human heart is what must be solved. Anyway, she goes on. The challenges we have been faced with over the last couple of months have taught me to focus on the healing of the human heart so that we can all come out of this pandemic wiser, stronger, kinder, and more loving. I'm grateful for all of you and the company we are building together as a team. I'm grateful for the ability to take a time out to care for myself so that I can come back stronger than ever. I am grateful for life because this is the greatest learning space of all. I could go on forever, but hopefully you get the point. We are so blessed that our gratitude journals could never contain all of our blessings. I'd like you to meet Susan now. Susan experienced her third recurrence of cancer in 6 years, this January of 2020. That is when she gave away the gratitude journals. Who can I give love to today? Something amazing happens when we surrender and just love. Let's do that right now. Close your eyes and take a nice deep breath, but take it into your heart. Even put your hands on your heart if you'd like. And then a nice long exhale as well. Feel like you're breathing into that space in your chest where your heart is. And now bring to your mind someone or some event or some place that you just absolutely love. It just makes you feel wonderful. Bring that into your heart. Feel that feeling in your heart. And now bring somebody into your heart, somebody, maybe an individual, maybe a family member, maybe somebody who's sick, maybe somebody who's hurting, somebody who's struggling, or maybe it's a group. Maybe it's our entire city. Bring that into your heart, where all that love is right in this moment, and share that. Love them. Love all of them. God is love, and so are we. Thank heaven, God is love, and so it is.
When I look in your eyes, I see the beloved. I see the beloved looking back at me. And when I stand next to you, I can feel the beloved. I feel the beloved in you. You are my soul. You are my inspiration. With you in my heart, I am never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved. I feel the beloved touching me. And when I open my heart, I open to the beloved, to the beloved in you. separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved. I feel the beloved touching me. And when I open my heart, I open to the beloved, to the beloved in you. Beloved in you. Beloved in you. Beloved in you. Beloved in you.
Ah, thank you so much, Jennifer Burnett, and beautiful message. Reverend Kay, thank you so much. It's lovely to hear about Susan. What an inspirational lady she is.
You bet.
And speaking of inspiration, we're going to take a moment right now to talk about the amazing inspiration of spiritual community as we head into our time of sharing our tithes and offerings. What is inspiring and uplifting for you all about Mile High Church right now? Reverend Kay, why don't you go first this time?
Well, I just want everybody to know, and this does inspire me, that there is so much work going on behind the scenes right now, preparing for whatever is going to unfold for us. To eventually, of course, we know eventually we will be able to be together. And there are so many details, and that was shared with us today, all kinds of contingency plans. I feel so proud to be part of this organization and this group of people, staff and ministers, all of us, that are just so committed to doing whatever it's going to take to keep our message going and to serve people and to serve the world is the best way we can. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. What about for you, Reverend Chris?
I think the thing that is inspiring to me the most right now is that we are all still connected. That we may be in our homes most of the time watching services, and yet we're supporting each other, we're loving each other, we're submitting prayer requests. All of the congregation is supporting this church and each other, and that there's this very certain knowing that we will be together again, and we are together spiritually right now, right here, this day, this moment.
I agree and echo that also for me right now. I am very personally, keenly aware of the support of this spiritual community. A week ago tonight, I was in the emergency room with my 21-year-old son who was having an emergency surgery. And I knew and I could feel myself being supported and uplifted in prayers when it was happening, and then over the next few days as he was recovering. And I'm so appreciative for all of my colleagues and the teams that I get to work with who covered me and who took care of things that I couldn't take care of, and to Reverend Josh especially for handling things that I couldn't handle. And people were just so generous and loving, and it really helped me see, you know, when life is going great, we need spiritual community, and we need to be uplifted and inspired. And when there's a challenge, Mile High Church was there for me, as I'm sure it has been for many of us in those situations. So I'm very grateful for Mile High Church, and we're very grateful for you watching us and continuing to lift us up. I went to my office today and read more of your beautiful notes of support and love, so thank you for those, and thank you for the donations that you continue to bestow upon us to generously give. And so right now, it's an opportunity for us to all anchor into how connected we are, as Reverend Chris said, to feel that connection and to feel the abundance abundant nature of life flowing through us. And we invite you to be in that circulation process. If today's a day to give financially, please join us in that. If today's a day to give a prayer, to give an affirmation, to write something beautiful, if you're watching online live right now in the chat about how Mile High Church is blessing your life, in any way that you feel called to right now, we invite you to join us in circulating. And what I affirm and accept is that there is one life, one presence, one power abundantly available in this universe. It is here flowing as us and through us. It is the inspiration that allows us to move forward and solve problems, feel uplifted, and be in the circulation of the good that life is. And we choose to do that now as we give. And so feel free to join us in saying, and so it is. You can text to give. You can go to the website and give. You can send a check through that good old snail mail. The ways to do that are on your screen. And we're going to go back to some amazing music right now.
I lost my keys in the great unknown, and call me please, 'cause I can't find my phone. Oh, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff that's getting to me lately. In the middle of my little mess, I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin. But I gotta trust, you know exactly what you're doing. It might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you use. 45 in a 35, sirens and fines while I'm running behind. Whoa, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff that's getting to me lately. In the middle of my little mess, I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin. But I gotta trust, you know exactly what you're doing. It might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you use to break me of impatience, conquer my frustrations. I've got a new appreciation. It's not the end of the world. Oh, this is the stuff that drives me crazy. This is the stuff. Someone save me in the middle of my little mess. I forget how big I'm blessed. This is the stuff that gets under my skin. And I gotta trust, you know exactly what you're doing. Might not be what I would choose. This is the stuff you use. This is the stuff you use.
So I invite you in this moment to join me in a virtual hand-holding session. Use your imagination for just a moment. We recognize that there is only one power, one source, one God, one spirit, one energy, one love. That in the moment, each of us is that power, that source, that energy. We are its emissaries. We are its children. We are its creation. And so as I continue to speak my word, recognize that each of your family and friends and yourself is part of each of this. And as I speak my word, call into mind a friend, a family member, an acquaintance who perhaps needs this prayer this evening. And so I recognize for all of us that there is an absolute center core of us that dwells in the mind of God, the peace of God, that peace of mind that we hold to be the truth of who we are. That nothing can assail this, not the news media, not what may be happening in this world, for we can always go to that core. I also recognize the abundance in our lives, that we have so much to be thankful for. We are here, we are present, we are alive, we are living through a moment in history. We are having an experience like no other experience. We get to co-create with the One in this time, in this moment. I also recognize for all that there is harmony and peace in our relationships, in our family, in our friends. I also recognize the abundance of health, the health that is attributed to the restful soul that is living within us at this moment, that anything that is like unrest or trouble or whatever may be the experience, it is simply let go into the nothingness from which it came. That we are resolute, we are firm, we know our connection with God, and we know that connection, that ultimate connection is love. For all of this, I am so thankful. I am thankful for this congregation. I am thankful for our ministers and staff. I am thankful for all of those that we support in service and in love in our consciousness. And it is with this great gratitude that I recognize these words have been created in the mind of God, in spirit and by spirit. For it is only God in this virtual room. And I know that we are ultimately blessed by all of this. These words are released. They are released in love and in joy, in peace, and in the absolute knowingness of who we are. And so as they are released, I simply say, and you may join me at home, and so it is. And so I'd like to just make a few announcements tonight. Don't forget our wonderful Sunday service, Sunday at 10 a.m. online. We have Dr. Patty, Dr. Barry, and Reverend Josh for our contributing ministers this Sunday. It'll be a great service. I know you'll enjoy it. And next Wednesday night, here at 7 o'clock, we will have an online service. And I am the speaker. My topic is, are we just worm food? Also, know that Dr. Barry's new class, New Eyes on the Bible, kicks off this Friday. There is still time to sign up and join it. Please do. I'm sure that class will be a great experience for all of us. You can have a prayer request tonight, submit it online. The slide will be up in a moment to show you how to submit your prayer request. Have a great week and a great evening, and thank you to all of you. And now, Jennifer.